Alright, so this is our Blackberry Patch. I probably should say my Blackberry Patch because, I mean, David bought the blackberries and he planted them and then neglected them and forgot about them and said he didn't care about them anymore. So I took over, just like everything else. So he planted them too close together because you couldn't get a lawnmower through. Or, well, you could get a push mower through, but not a riding lawnmower through. So I kind of want to get a riding lawnmower through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm transplanting them from this row. You can see Cindy and I came in and weeded them because when they went feral and the weeds grew up around them, they lost their flavor and they weren't that good anymore. So, yeah, anyways. So I want to keep them trimmed and I want to keep it mowed. I tried to put a fence around it, a pallet fence. I got started, but I asked David to finish and you can see how he finished it. But anyways, so, but that's okay. I need to widen it anyways. So this, I need to get a riding lawnmower through here. I made it wide enough for a push mower, but that's not good enough. I want it wide enough for a riding mower. So I'm gonna widen it anyhow. So eventually, this whole section will be fenced in, and this will be. So we got the greenhouse there, and I'm gonna fence this whole section in, and I can run goats through here. But I'm gonna have a greenhouse or chickens, because I'm gonna have a greenhouse right here behind these blackberries, which will and these blackberries will eventually be potentially maybe in a hoop, and the chickens will keep the weeds down. So what I want to do, I'll show you over here. Luckily these don't have thorns, but so what I'm doing here, or trying to do, or trying to get done, is so this is a greenhouse and then a half greenhouse, half hoop house. So I want to put another greenhouse here and then put another hoop here and have netting over it. And on this one, I'll have like blueberries growing in here. And so I want to do similar over here. So inside the hoop, I'll have maybe not netting. I'll probably have fencing up, like a goat fence or something like that, so the goats can't get in, and just kind of like have a hoop with fencing over it. And then the chickens can run through here and help keep it clean. And then what I'm going to do is maybe pull these T-posts up and do them about 1 foot apart, maybe 2 feet apart, and run field fence around these blackberries so the blackberries can grow up through the field fence. And you know, if they stick out, you know, like these do, we can tuck them back in, you know, just tuck it up, and so it'll grow up inside the field fence and it'll stay upright. And then you know, but then we still got room to reach in and prune, you know, any thick weeds like rose bushes and whatnot, because we got a rose bush trying to grow right here. So that'll give us room to do that. And then, you know, the blackberries can get good and thick. And David said there's a better blackberry out there that he wants to plant. And I think our friend Bill has them. So I can always get more blackberries and plant them in here and have them cross with these guys and and have better tasting blackberries. These guys aren't too bad if you keep them weeded, you know, if they're good and healthy. But also I found out from a friend, or really more like an associate, she's not really a friend, she's a friend of a friend, that part of the problem is it's too moist here, and blackberries don't like their feet wet. So that might be why they're not so sweet, because they're too wet. From what I understand, if they got too much water, they won't have very much flavor. So that might be part of the problem. So that's another thing I'm going to do. I've been bringing in paper, but I'll bring in some sawdust and dirt and stuff and bring it in here and fill this in. Raise it up a little bit so that the blackberries' feet won't be so wet. And then the water will drain off around the outside. Around the outside. So, and then once I figure out where the hoop's gonna be, which is gonna be right about here, give or take, I'll dig up all of these on the outside and bring them in. So it won't be like a huge blackberry patch, but yeah, it'll only be like a 20 by 20 patch for blackberries. Now I got a raspberry patch in the back by the chicken yard. I could do another raspberry patch somewhere else, you know, because I planned on originally having 3 greenhouses here, and maybe the one on the end will be more like a mushroom greenhouse, but they're built different. So I'd have to build it to trap moisture, and maybe I should do that right here in the middle between these 2 greenhouses. Just have a regular greenhouse on that end, have the mushroom one in the middle, and divert the water between these 2 greenhouses to this one, so it'll be extra moist, and then we can grow mushrooms in here. So it's just an idea. I don't know much about mushrooms. I don't know much about anything, to be honest, you know. I'm one of those guys that believes that knowledge is not power. It's the application of knowledge which is power. And so I learn enough so that I can apply what I know. And I try to apply things. I don't always do it right. But like Tony Robbins says, application trumps knowledge any day. And basically, if you have knowledge but you don't take action, you don't apply it, it's basically worthless. So why even learn it if you're not going to do anything about it? You know, if you're not going to use it, why learn it? You know, so that's my thing. I agree with Tony Robbins on that one. So I don't know a whole lot. I'm not like a genius or anything, but I'm trying to apply myself and do things. And if I can find some help from people who know what they're doing, great, you know. But unfortunately, I got too many people trying to tell me what to do, but they don't want to help me do it. You know, it's like, do as I say, not as I do. And it's like, I ain't got time for that, you know. So I try to absorb their knowledge as much as I can, but you know, when they become the type of person where they want to tell you how to do something that they're not willing to do themselves, and then you go and do something, then they come behind you and tell you how you did it wrong. It's kind of like a friend of mine said, I like the way I did it better than your way of not doing it. You know, and that makes a lot of sense. So anyways, this is my project right now. I'm trying to get this done before dark. I've got my fencing plotted for my fencing guy to come out and do that. Once we get our fencing done on the north side and the west side, then I'm going to start working on fencing on the south side. And once I get that done, then I'll be working on fencing on the east side, which will be easier and harder at the same time because I got to build up the berm in the creek, and that's going to take a lot of dirt. So I'm focusing on the areas where I don't have to get a backhoe and a front loader right now, because yeah, backhoe and front loader is going to cost me $20,000. So I'm just focusing on this right now because I got to rotate my goats, and I'm trying to generate some revenue so I can have a way of paying for the stuff that I'm trying to do besides my paycheck from the big truck. So, and if you're a truck driver and you're interested in doing this and you don't have a house or project of your own, you want to do this, or even if you have it's like the guy I was gonna slip seat run team with. He sold his house up in St. Joe, Missouri, and he was planning on coming down, but he didn't like my friend and former business partner. But I was looking at making this guy my new business partner, if he worked out. And then maybe put my friend in the back corner because I didn't want to make him homeless like his family did, right? But he doesn't really do anything, so he's just more or less a guard dog. But nonetheless, he was talking about coming down and running team with me and slip seat team with me. So 1 week, one of us will be here while the other one's out on the road, and just alternate our own time, 1 week on, 1 week off. So if you are a truck driver and you're interested in doing that, hit me up, But yeah, and I'm not interested in selling part of this land, but I do got another piece of property that I am interested in people helping me buy out. It's the previous community that I bought into when I first came down here, and I own 10% of that. And once I get this thing paid off, I want to start buying people out over there. So if you want to help me start buying people out over there, now's the time. And we can have co-ownership over there. We can do projects on both properties. This will more or less be my project, and that'll be more or less your project, and we can work together. Or whatever, we can, like I said, I don't mind sharing the wealth. But I gotta have goat yards for my goats, and then we can do projects in and around the goat yard. So if I sell off part of the property, I won't be able to run my goats. That's the problem. So, and then there's another project with that I want to do, and I wouldn't be able to do it if I sold off part of this property. So, and if I find a bigger, better piece of property, then that would even work better. Then we can go in on that together, and then it'd all be touching, and then we could just be at the one big place. Say somebody bought the 15 acres next door to me, then boom, we'd have both properties, and we can work together side by side. The people in the back are pretty cool. These guys are pretty cool. That guy, I don't know, maybe not so much. But, we work together, we can really accomplish things. But anyways, so this is what I'm doing right now, working on the Blackberry. So I'm going to stop this and get back to work.